Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm delighted to be here. In fact, I don't know where we are. Where are we, Danilo?
We are in Schlanders, or Silandro in Italian. It's a very northern part of Italy, close to the Austrian border.
Wonderful. So maintaining the truly global nature of the Beyond Boundaries report, which is what we're here to talk about today. And I kind of given it away. I've given your first name at least, and a fairly recognizable face in the industry at that. Danilo, perhaps you could do us the favor of introducing yourself and what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt. It's great to be here with you. What do I do? I play chess. No,
Yeah, this is completely staged, just for the record.
Absolutely. So I am the group head of innovation at Generali, which means that I'm in charge of stirring and monitoring and promoting and financing all the major innovation efforts of Generali, that, as some of you may know, is a very large multinational insurance company headquartered in Italy but active in various parts of the world.
Fantastic. And look, this is not our first conversation, right? We've been working together for several years now, which has been a pleasure from the start. And so naturally, with Beyond Boundaries, it's about understanding how different organizations with different focuses in different geographies are approaching innovation, what's sticking, what's not, what you've learned, what hasn't worked so well is always interesting. We can get into all of that, but perhaps let's start at the beginning. Who's Danilo Raponi? You've introduced yourself by title, but what do you do, and how did you get here?
Yeah, how I got here is a good question, actually, by accident, basically. Right?
Seems to be a common theme in the insurance industry.
It does, right? Yeah. Well, it's actually interesting because I am a historian by training, so I've learned more or less how to understand the past, but now I am an innovation professional by profession, which means I have to understand the future. And the two things, they seem to be an oxymoron. They seem to go a bit against one another, but they don't actually, because I think that looking critically at what we did, in the past, humans, and the good, the bad, and the ugly, I think it gives a perspective on how to assess what may be coming. And so it's just a different way of try to anticipate or to see evolutions of demography, technology, society at large, which obviously reflect a lot on how we do insurance at large. Yeah.
Okay. And you've been at Generali for how long now?
About 4.5 years. So this is also another. So the way I ended up in the insurance industry is by accident. I was at Cambridge reading history, indeed, and then and this is great. I think this is a bit of a lesson on how going beyond your comfort zone, it opens your mind. It's a bit of a maybe plain things to say, but I grew up in Italy, obviously. Then I had the opportunity to go and do my PhD at Cambridge, and whereas in Italy and in some other European countries, usually career paths are very kind of prescribed from the beginning. So you study something to do exactly what you're studying to do, right? What I learned when I was at Cambridge is that I was in Robinson College, and there I had friends who were studying. Yes, medicine and law, and it's clear what they wanted to do, but I also had friends who were studying physics, Byzantine studies, philosophy of science, and then they ended up working for investment banks.
I was going to say.
And I was like, wait a second, what's going on here, right? And so then I was like, maybe I could give it a go as well, no? And so then I came to the end of my PhD, and I started applying to all sorts of things, right? As basically following my friends, no? And then one of my best friends who was reading computational chemistry, he was like, oh wait, my brother just got into Swiss Re. And I was like, what's Swiss Re? It's reinsurance. What's reinsurance? He was like, I don't know either, I'll ask him, no? And then he came back saying, oh, tell him that it's like investment banking, but with nicer people. He said something different. I can't maybe repeat it here, but basically that was the message. I was like, oh, that sounds good. Let me. And it was funny when I went to the interview with Swiss Re. They were like, so what do you know about reinsurance? I was like, nothing really, just what I read on your website.
Yeah, and, I've got a friend who told me this.
Exactly. But that's how it started. And then, I was in reinsurance for a while in Switzerland and Germany mainly. And then I was mainly in business roles, right? P&C mainly initially. corporate insurance, and then when I moved to Munich, in Munich Re, more in the life and health structured reinsurance side. No? But then I realized, and this was, to 2015 and onwards, that there's a lot was changing in the insurance industry. So I more and more wanted to move towards the innovation side. How do we make sure the reinsurance stay relevant and, protagonists of the future and not followers? And that's how then I started moving more towards the innovation side until when Generali gave me the opportunity to come and lead the innovation department here, which has been a great fun so far.
Fantastic. And so, maybe that's a segue right into the role. Maybe let's start with the kind of more functional. How are you guys set up? And maybe if you could kind of expand on a little bit why that's right for a business like Generali, and how you interact at a group level. And then maybe we can get into some of the more specifics of, hey, look, case studies, things that have been great to work on, things that you've learned, commentary that will help the audience and the report get a sense of what's working, but also what's not, and how you're dealing with that.
Yeah, clear. No, that's interesting. Well, structurally, the way that innovation is set up at Generali, it quite closely reflects how the company is structured in general. So, Generali is a rather decentralized company. So we have a lean head office in Milan and Trieste. But let's say that the P&L resides in our business units, right? That are either geographical entities, so Generali, Italy, Germany, France, and we have many around the world, or global business lines like Generali Corporate and Commercial, the colleagues who take care of the corporate business. So basically what happens is that the teams at the head office are lean, so there's the small teams, including the innovation team, because again, it's about providing the tools, the instruments, the budgets to enable, in our case, to enable people then to innovate at local level, right?
Sure.
Then obviously, what also we're trying to do as group innovation is to see how we can more and more create assets and innovations that are, if not group-wide, at least cross-country, international, just to make sure that we're not reinventing the wheel. No? But at the same time, we really treasure the incredible local knowledge that our colleagues have from France to Malaysia and to Argentina and all over the place, right? So that's very important.
And has that changed over time? Has it evolved? We've certainly seen kind of a devolution away from kind of large central teams. It feels like you've been set up slightly differently.
In the history of the recent history of Generali, there have been some, let's say, picking up of centralization versus decentralization, but it has then remained relatively constant over time. Actually, interesting, one exercise we've been doing recently about benchmarking, our peers and competitors, so in reinsurance companies. In the end, we've seen that also the ones that maybe dared to centralize more than we have ever done, in the end, they came back to a federated model, right? There are some exceptions, but they are a bit more peculiar in the sense that they are either in very different geographies, so they are new entrants or something. But the ones who are a bit more like Generali, in the end, give or take, they converge towards this model that we have as well.
And is it I'm interested in the reasons behind that. Is it, you mentioned about the specialness of individual business units and their local markets, the experience and specialism that comes with that. Is it kind of aligned to that, or? That's
the main point, really, right? It's the main point. It's a bit obviously of historical reasons, and as things in insurance do not change fast, right? Let's put it that way.
It's a relative term, right? Glacial, I don't know.
Depending on many centers we are talking about. No, but also because there are in the end, what's insurance, right? It's a commodity that you can possibly make it not being a commodity anymore, partly. How? No? I think there's two things you need to do if you don't want to make insurance a commodity. One, you have to be able to offer innovative products. Easier said than done, like truly innovative products. And second, you need to focus on distribution channels that really reach the people who are going to get these innovative products, right? And the distribution channels are key. I mean, for example, in some countries we have extremely strong distribution channels that are very peculiar to that country, right? And so, if we do try innovations across, then maybe maybe, you know, are, you know, winning for a couple of countries, maybe in that specific country they don't work because of that distribution channel, right?
Got you.
So yeah, it's that's I think the main, and then the local knowledge of why that thing works there and why the clients want that, it's crucial, no? And you definitely don't want to mess with that. So.
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard to replicate that knowledge at scale,
yeah.
at a group level as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what are you working on? What's the focus of innovation for Generali? That always seems like a completely contradictory kind of statement. How can you be focused on a discipline which can almost be it can encompass so much, right? Where are the areas perhaps that Generali are focusing?
It's a good question actually, and you know, this is one thing I tend to tell more you know, startups when they ask me, for advice, whatever advice I can give. I don't know why they ask me for advice, but anyway. And one of the things I tell them is just focus, make the main thing, right? It's important not to try to do everything, right? Limited resources, limited people, just do one thing, do extremely well, and then you're gonna be the best, right? Obviously, for a very large company, it's different. We have the luxury that we can experiment a little bit more.
Yeah.
At the same time, we also have to be diligent, right? So we cannot do. The resources are not infinite, and they shouldn't be, and they should be used well. So we also need to focus on a couple of things that we think are important for the future of the company, right? And obviously, these at the moment are a couple of things. Now, what are they driven mainly by? Maybe let's start from there. I mean, you know, the main changes that we're seeing that are going to affect the future of the industry and also of probably society at large is demographics, technology, and everything to do with climate change and societal changes, right? And so what does that lead us to, right? It leads us to look at, how is demographics changing? What does this mean for our business models? And also here, maybe we should say that Generali is a company that we do everything, right? So we have a generalist insurance company. We do offer more or less everything which exists in the insurance field, but we are very strong on the life and health side and in savings or retirement products, so like annuities kind of style, unit links, And these obviously they are obviously subject to a lot of competition. There's a lot of young people. They very easily buy ETFs. They save with very cheap brokers online. They trade a little bit of stuff, right? So obviously one thing that is concerning us: how do we make sure that in the future our savings products they stay relevant and they continue attracting huge investments from the population that we try to serve, And this is important again in our our strategy is about being a lifetime partner, so being there for our clients, whatever they need, wherever they need, whenever they need it in their life journey, in their specific moments, right? Of how life in our modern societies is changing. How is it changing? It's also changing, driven by technology. So obviously there we're seeing, right? What does we always say, for us, AI is nothing new. It's true. We've been using it for a long time, right?
Sure.
But obviously there has been an acceleration, So,
I've heard about this.
Yeah, what is it again? Some people being paid $100 million or something like that.
Yeah, give you some of that.
Is it like you?
Yeah, I wish. We would not be sat here, as lovely as this is, right? We'd be on a yacht somewhere.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And so we are trying. Obviously, AI has been very important for us in underwriting. Try to be very, very specific in what we are looking at, automating the underwriting, giving more personalized pricing. There's been an acceleration in that. Claims, There's a lot of deep fakes coming. We need to be able to be better than that, right? How do we recognize before what's real and what is not real, Another thing that we look at, again, going into the other part of how the world is changing and climate change stuff. Some risks are becoming uninsurable or almost, right? Think about forest fires or floods and stuff, right? And so there again, one thing that we are proud of, that we've been working for a long time with a major partner, Descartes, in parametrics. Our colleagues in GC&C, and mainly for us it's very important, right? How do we make sure that if the traditional indemnity insurance cannot, for structural reasons, guarantee the necessary coverage that our clients and customers and lifetime partners need, how can we invest in parametrics that, makes maybe not easier, but makes it possible, right? Because with triggers, you can be very specific in what you are covering, how you are covering it, where. You can minimize the basic risks. You can just do a lot, also to experiment, to experiment covering risks that need never been covered before, but they are becoming relevant, right? So as you can see, it's quite a few things that we're trying out and we're looking at, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's hard not to, right?
Exactly.
You described three very succinctly incredibly
Major
large
things.
and broad themes with societal level implications aligned to also, the higher purpose that I guess all insurance companies have as well, right? Yeah. Just walking out the door when things get a bit sticky is not a good thing.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So what if those are the areas of focus? Have you got any examples of particular projects or new products which kind of exemplify the approach that you guys take to innovation?
Yeah, I mean, yes, absolutely. I mean, I think one thing that is interesting to say is that because of all these trends and things that are happening, major issues, right? One thing I think that will be changing, and is changing, is that for insurance companies they need obviously to move from being passive actors and basically just being there when something happens. Okay, here is what you get back from us, in being active actors, right? In being in a comprehensive risk management point of view. So also prevention, no? Because of prevention is often better than cure. And this doesn't some people say, oh, but then what's the insurance business model? The insurance business model is going to be there always, and it's going to be always very very important and successful, because there's always going to be risks, there's always going to be claims happening, right? But some of the ones that we can prevent because of new technologies and things that we have, let's do that, right? Because then we can focus actually in using the capacity that we have well in things that cannot be prevented. For example, one concrete example now. We have a lot of in Europe, some countries like Italy, France, Germany, they have a lot of small and medium companies, right? A lot, no? In proportion to the population. Obviously, you cannot guarantee to these companies the same level of service that you guarantee to a major corporation, right? For just practical reasons, you don't have enough risk managers to be able to go and inspect plants and offices and stuff, right? And so obviously there are things happen that could have been easily prevented just by, I don't know, installing sprinklers and stuff like that, right? So what have we done? We started in France. We partnered with two partners, technology providers, one more on the sensors, one more on the software side, and then on the risk management side. And we said, okay, we have a lot of SMEs in France, loads of claims that we think they could have easily been prevented. Let's combine the use of very advanced sensors, so IoT, which obviously can detect water leaks, fire, but also plants malfunction, right? So when some machines are about to stop working and also affecting actually the value chain of the clients, combining this with a very advanced monitoring system that really detects very early on signals that are coming from the sensor. So we've installed like an incredible number of sensors in most of our SME clients, combined with this advanced software tool. This has been an incredible project, because already in the first year, we had 5x return on the investment, right? Wow. Because it was actually relatively limited investment, and then obviously the estimate of the claims that we prevented, but which was quite easy to predict, because you could see the trend from the many years before. We had a drop in that year, right? A lot of things had been prevented, and now we are expanding. These are at the moment are sensors that are inside the plants, in the offices. Now we realize, a lot of France, it's a very large country, and companies are scattered around. Some of them are also in very relatively green areas near forest and woods. Yeah. Some of them are affected not by fires happening in the plants, but in the area around. Yeah. And so now we are experimenting with a lot. This is a very interesting technological advances in forest fire prevention. There's a lot of startups working in devices that prevent forest fires. We think that the best is a dual approach for forest fires. One which is sensors in forests, and then satellite imagery, right? So that you get bottom and top, So this is very cool, and this is really working very well. And this is one of these cases where we are very proud of that because we funded with the innovation fund, the Central Innovation Fund. We helped the colleagues in France to push through. And also, once we realized that it was working so well, we said, look, this is something that really needs to go to the whole group, right? Because it doesn't even have so many local peculiarities, right? Yes, some countries have more SMEs, some less, but still it kind of works everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so this is what we're doing now. We have a road plan where we're like expanding risk care, it's called risk care, to basically the whole group, starting in Europe, and it's very exciting.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's cool.
That kind of makes me think about, okay, there's some component parts of what we see is kind of effective innovation, working in partnership with a business unit, knows the market, knows the use cases intimately.
Yes.
You partner,
yes,
focus resources on solving a problem, then looking to scale.
Yes.
Have you got any other examples of kind of good, what you'd consider good practice? And that could have come from, it's usually come from a bit of combination of brilliant thinking and really hard-earned experience, and sometimes with some tears along the way. Have you got any top tips?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good point, actually, because I like to talk about partnerships. I think they're very important. Sure. And so you mentioned some of the ingredients for success. Other ingredients for success, I think, are, and here in this case, this is a partnership with the business unit, but also with two external companies, right? That have nothing to do with Generali, right? One is, as I said, startup, sensors, software, risk management stuff, right? I think for a partnership to be successful, it's really important, and this is not only referring to risk care, but others, we can talk in a moment about some other examples, very clear from the beginning what the goals are, right?
Yep.
Very clear also how we want to get there, and very, very clear what each one is bringing to the table, right? And without trying to cross and do things that others should be doing. Also very clear about what the commercial outcome is, what are maybe other measurable outcomes that you want to have. Sometimes it's a mix, right, of things. In this case, for example, it was essential, again, sensors. We have a company in the group which is called Generali Ventures.
Yep.
They are a very good IoT factory. They're excellent at what they do, but they specialize in sensors and IoT for cars and for home, So nothing specific to SMEs or to factories and stuff, right? So obviously, they could have built eventually very good sensors, but it will take a long time,
Sure.
There's incredible sensors available in the market. Let's just partner with the people who do these things, right? So the speed is also important. And so in this case, you need to be also smart and lean and understanding that, yes, we are an insurance company. We can do things which are beyond insurance also internally sometimes, and we need to do it when it's very proprietary stuff. Other times, there is people out there that are excellent at what they do. Let's partner with them and let's build something together, right? And it's not always easy. I mean, for example, another example we can talk about is one which is commercially minded, but it also has a very strong social component. It's called Migrasure.
Yep.
So we're trying to, this is one thing that I brought a little bit from my experience in my previous company that I started there. I wanted to do it here, right? I'm like, sustainability is very important, innovation is very important. Let's try to combine the two, because I think combining the two, is very powerful. So how do we make sure that we go beyond the traditional model of insurers giving back to society, which was mainly charity? Charity is great, but you can only donate a certain amount of money, right? If we manage to build business models that are instead, that maybe their primary goal is a social one, but they are businesses, so they are profitable in the long run. At least they break even. Theoretically, infinitely scalable, right? Because then you don't need, they are self-financing. So we try to, we said, okay, what can we do? And we started looking at this arena a few years ago. Obviously, one of the things which was evident as being a major issue, large influx of refugees and migrants into Europe, in Germany mainly. So we started looking at that. What can we do? Basically, long story short, we have now created a company which is in a joint venture called Migrasure that really plans to create a first financial inclusion platform for refugees and migrants. So it's available in many rare languages that they speak, and we're trying basically to give them very basic insurance and financial tools that they need to live their life well in Europe. But they are very cost effective as well, right? This is again thanks to technology a lot, thanks to the experience of micro insurance and stuff, right? Here, this one wasn't easy though, right? So you talk about partnerships,
I was going to say,
because
it's starting to sound like there's a lot of components of a complex business.
Let's not make everything very rosy. It's not, right? I mean, so first of all, it's still very difficult. Now, it's gaining traction, but we want to see more traction, right? And the thing is, how do we reach how do we reach the people who actually need these things? How do we explain that these are things that they actually need, right?
Yeah.
As well, no? Because I mean, also there's this financial literacy issue, no? Sure. And also, obviously, to do this effectively and to do this also visibly and everything, it's very important to partner also with public entities, which obviously brings some other challenges again, right? Because they're even without the bureaucracy, you know, obviously.
Whose idea was this business? It's amazing.
Don't ask. No, it obviously even let's say omitting the bureaucracy, it's just different priorities. Obviously, the public thinks about the social impact only, right? Theoretically, the corporation thinks about the commercial value only, and if you only think about it, then it doesn't work, right? So they both have to understand the reasons and priorities of why we are doing this, right? And to come closer to each other instances, right? And then it works. But it's not easy, right? It's really.
That's interesting though as well. That external partnership, but also internally working closer together to figure this stuff out, because if you only approach it from a single perspective,
absolutely.
How are you going to how's it going to be able to rationalize that this is a good thing?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, super interesting. How about we kind of move towards wrapping up? What you've touched on the magic letters A and I already. Parametric, we've seen a ton of activity in the market over the last 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
What are some of the other big trends or themes that, you know, you're really interested in? Maybe this is personally as well as you know, with a more commercial lens on as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's there is a lot there. The thing is that we are experimenting in a lot of different things, and it's not you know, it's where you are in one of the situations in which there's a lot that's happening, and you're not quite sure what's going to be the winning one, right? I mean. Looking a little bit more futuristically, you know, you asked, so let me get the crazy futurist view. You know, one thing which is obviously I think is happening very faster than people expect is robotics, humanoid robots, right? So it's not going to be, you know, it's not going to take a long time before, you know, we're going to be sitting here and having another conversation, a very pleasant conversation such as this one, but whilst we speak, something comes and serves us a coffee or something.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
That would be absolutely stunning.
Played on the chest.
I can't wait until I don't need to do the dishwasher anymore, right? Play messages for us, for sure. I think that's already available. And I mean, obviously, these things are coming, and they're going to be, I think there's some stuff that's working on it. In 10 years' time, I think we're going to have some of these all over the place, right? And the price is going to go down fast and stuff, going to be available to a relatively large number of the population. I mean, what's happening with these things, right? When they, take care of our children and stuff, whose liability is that? You know? What does this mean for insurance? If they get out, I've seen already there's an experiment that started up in Switzerland is experimenting with a robot that really does all the chores at home, and it does them well, and it also brings the garbage out. What happens when this thing steps out of the home and it brings the garbage out, right? And something happens, right? So it's all these things which seem a little bit nerdy insurance things, but they are actually fascinating. And another thing that I'm really personally, maybe again here the what we're doing in insurance is a little bit far-fetched. But I'm super fascinated by the incredible advance done by deep tech. I also take one of the things that was I responsible for the for Generali Ventures. So I take care of speaking with all of VC, which is a privilege. And the VCs that are investing in deep tech, they show me stuff that it's crazy, futuristic, but it's already working, and we're gonna see so many advances in all fields of knowledge and the technology stuff.
Without contravening any NDAs, could you give any practical example?
Well, I'm not sure. No, but even stuff that it contributes a lot to fighting climate change, right? The good thing is a lot of startups are working on deep tech. They're not even saying that they are fighting the climate change, but effectively they are doing it. Like, for example, there's some startup they use to technology. So some countries in the global south, they have scarcity of water, right?
Sure.
And one thing that they're trying to do for ages is to use sea salt, right? Which is about salting, so it has to be salt, which is very costly, energy, drains a lot of energy stuff. They've created a technology by which they've created barriers that use the natural motion of waves. The waves take these barriers, and the water that comes out the other side is desalted. And this is, so basically, it's amazing, right? In terms of what you can do with these things, or very small hydroelectric power plants that you actually put under the sea. This I don't really understand how it works, but it's cool because you basically create small hydroelectric power plants that they usually need the motion of water to make to produce electricity. But then you put them under sea, and by using currents of the sea, they just continuously generate electricity without needing to create big infrastructure that channels water and makes it so fantastic, right?
That's brilliant. I'm going to try and maintain a level of composure that at least implies there's some intellect here, but all I'm thinking is that sounds like magic.
Yeah, it did for me as well. But I pretended I understood it, so I think it's cool. Basically,
I love it. Fantastic. Well, Danilo, I think that again, you're a busy guy. You wear many hats. Thank you for donating some time to have a chat with us. Really appreciate it. Any parting words, or this has been great?
Thank you so much, Matt. It's been absolutely stellar. Always good to talk to you. And actually another one. Maybe it's better I don't mention it. Let's talk another one. About this invention. It just came to mind, but it's a little bit controversial.
Oh, very good. Sounds great.
Thank you. It was really a pleasure.
Brilliant.